This is my version of the Who song Won't Get Fooled Again. And I'm going to tell you how to recreate the organ track from this song. There we go. The track gets a little off, on this computer at least, because it lags out. And so the VST plugin that I use goes a little off time. But the way that you do this track, or at least the way I did it, well, I started, I'm going to open a new project, just a blank template, and that'll take a while to open up. Or not. So, start with a basic audio track, but what I did on this to get this sound was I started with an organ track, a basic organ track from my Yamaha EX7, which is right here. And it's a pretty simple patch. It's a basic organ tone, which I edit a bit to remove the some of the attack, some of the percussive attack that was built in. I guess they're going for Hammond sound. Didn't quite get it, but it's sort of a sharp, like a key click, and that makes it difficult when you change chords, because the way that you play the song, at least the way that I play the song for this recording, you change chords at weird times, so and it's not on every time, so the percussive effect sounds a little weird and out of place. So I edited the attack down, pretty soft attack on it, and I added an auto wah. I used an auto wah where I slowed down the LFO speed a lot, and that gave me sort of this up and down sound that you can hear. The modulation, sort of like Townsend's. It gets louder and lower pitched, and then higher in pitch and a little quieter. And it's not totally noticeable on one note, but you'll hear it when I play it. So I'm going to record the track, and I'm going to show you how this works. The basic, you start with a basic auto wah organ. And then you use a VST plugin called Skitter. And this is something I found online, searching just for like a basic chopper, and Cubase has one built in, but I found that it wasn't really giving me what I wanted. So for VST effects, you just add an insert. I go to DFX Skitter, Thip 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 is the first setting, and that's the one that I use. It's pretty simple. What you have to do is you first have to set up the tempo. So project, tempo track, 140 is what I found to be pretty close. 140 beats per minute. You go back to Skitter, open it up, and there's a button called Tempo Sync, and that helps a lot because you can sync the tempo automatically, and you don't have to worry about it going off time. And you have to set it to 2 cycles per beat, which is the rate setting, because that'll give you eighth notes, and that's what you want. The tempo is auto because it's synced, and then pulse width should be somewhere around 700, and these two should be together. So that's what, there are 2 little buttons there. That's the setting that I thought was best, and slope was a little bit towards the middle. So now what it'll do is when I play the sound back, it'll chop up the audio in time with the tempo, in time with the metronome basically, and that'll give you a sound sort of like Townsend's on the original recording. So I'm going to show you what that sounds like. Start record with the metronome on. So you can hear direct monitoring is on, so you can hear a little bit of the playback. But as you can see, I was holding the chords instead of articulating the quarter notes. Stop the recording. And that gives you a pretty consistent sound, and it basically lets the plugin do all the work, which is nice because then you don't have to articulate the notes and have them sound bad, and it's also closer to what Pete Townshend's synthesizer did. It wasn't anything he was playing. The synthesizer chopped up, using an LFO, chopped up the sound automatically, and that's what this plugin does. So if you hear the playback, it'll be a little bit off time because of the recording delay on my computer. But let's just have a listen. Turn the metronome off. It's a little bit delayed. That one's pretty good. Let's see. Start at the beginning. Yeah, that sounds pretty close for me. You can, the notes are actually pretty easy. He's just holding an A chord, and there's some changes, but you can find on a lot of videos on the internet, people have it figured out pretty well. What I thought was difficult here was getting this sound, and so with just an auto wah setting, which you could probably actually use as a VST also, I just used my keyboard because it was easier. That and then DFX Skitter, you can actually get a pretty close version of the sound. And in terms of playing it live, I guess either you could have a laptop with a VST setup, or I guess some keyboards probably have a chopper sort of effect. Mine doesn't, so I looked online, but this is a pretty good way, especially if you're trying to find a backing track or just make a recording, to get a pretty close sample of Won't Get Fooled Again. So that's that, and this is what it sounds like in context. Alright, thank you, and hopefully that works. Bye, YouTube.